It's that time of the year in the IPL where supporting your team, or at least supporting certain teams, does begin to feel a bit like a math experiment. Why? Because you need to get a calculator out, you need to set the spreadsheets in front of you, and you need to work out every possible permutation and combination to see how it is that your team can still mathematically make it to the playoffs, assuming they aren't, of course, already eliminated. And so far, there's only two teams that have been properly eliminated, and that is Mumbai Indians and Punjab Kings. There is no mathematical manner in which they can make it to the next round. But incredibly, there's still a number of teams that are still very much vying for, let's say, 3 spots or 2 spots, let's consider it, because Rajasthan Royals very much have their fate in their own hands, having got 16 points, only need 2 more to assure themselves of qualification, and in 2 games, you'd think they'd be able to get that. So we're not going to be looking at 2 particular teams in this video, or 3 teams. We're not looking at KKR because they've already qualified. We're not looking at RR because they've all but qualified, and we're not looking at the Gujarat Titans because, truth be told, their chances of making it are very slim. Sure, they can get to the required number of points, but their net run rate is so poor that even if they win all their remaining games, there's absolutely no guarantee that they'll be able to make it. So we're not quite counting them either. No, the teams that we're going to be looking at, well, there's 5 teams beyond that who still have a very realistic chance of making it to the playoffs. So let's start with CSK, who currently are sitting 3rd in the table with 14 points, but who many would argue would be the one team that very much have their fate in their own hands. One of 2 teams rather, that is. That is because they have 14 right now and 1 more game which they'll be taking on RCB. So the scenario for them is simple. All they need to do is win, and then as a bonus to assure themselves of that spot, hope that SRH and LSG lose 1 game. If both lose 1 game, then it's perfect. If one of them gets to 16, there's still every chance that CSK could make it, because LSG right now have a very poor net run rate. So LSG even getting to 16 points may not be any sort of a guarantee. As I said, for CSK, the equation is very simple. Control very much in their own hands. And the same can be said about these guys right here. The Sunrisers Hyderabad, the Orange Army, have been in frightening form throughout this IPL. Yet, they're currently only 4th with 14 points, because they're a team that do tend to oscillate in extremes. When they're good, they're hard to beat. When they're bad, you wonder how it is that they're able to get those big wins in the first place. But they too have their status very much in their own hands, and I'd say their situation is slightly better than that of CSK's. Why? Because they've got 2 games left, one against GT, one against Punjab Kings, and if they win both, they'll be on 18 points, so not even 16. Which means that they'll be assured of qualification. All they need to do is win their next 2 games. It's just that simple. If they win 1, then they'd also have to hope for other results to go their way. They'd have to hope that CSK, if they win, it's not a big one, or that CSK lose or LSG lose. Then with 16 points, they too can qualify. But SRH, I would say, are the one team, along with CSK, very much have their fate in their own hands. And should both these teams get the required wins, then it doesn't seem like you're going to be seeing any other teams making it. But that doesn't mean that the other teams cannot make it. And RCB are definitely that one team who've boasted a very good late surge in form. And currently, whilst they may be 5th with only 12 points, very much in with a chance. Of course, the disadvantage that they have is that they've only got 1 game left, and that is against CSK at their home ground. So for them, the equation is a little bit more complicated. Why? Because RCB need to beat CSK, but not just that, they need to hope that SRH and LSG drop points too. In fact, more so than LSG, in fact, or rather both teams really, because both SRH and LSG can get to 16. So what they need to do is that LSG must lose at least 1 game, because their net run rate is very poor. They'd hope that SRH lose both games, but if not both, then at least 1 by a significant margin should be enough to keep RCB above them on the table. It'll be very close, and as I said, there's a lot of permutations and combinations here. They even need potentially DC to lose their last game. So there's a lot going on there. RCB fans will of course be hopeful, but as I said, there's a lot of reliance that you will be doing on other teams or other results to go your way. The same can be said about the Delhi Capitals, who until their previous game against RCB also had their fate very much in their own hands. If they won, they'd get to 16 points and would all but be assured of a spot. The disadvantage they have is that their net run rate is very poor. And that means that this game against LSG is a must-win for them. In fact, it's must-win for LSG as well, because LSG have 2 games, but if they lose and only get to 14, there's no way they're making it because their net run rate is that bad. For DC, they need a resounding win over LSG to not only improve their net run rate, but also keep them alive. And not just that, they need SRH and RCB to be dropping points as well. So RCB need to lose their final game. SRH ideally need to lose both their next 2 games, because if SRH win, then they're through to 18 points. Right now, they need SRH to stay on 14 points. As I said, for Delhi, they did have their fate in their hands, but then 1 loss, and now they're very much reliant on other results. Perhaps the team that's worse off, though, are the Lucknow Super Giants. I mean, it's pretty stunning to think about it now, but there was one time where LSG seemed sure shot in that 3rd position, but they've had 2 heavy losses, one against KKR by about 95 runs, and the 10-wicket drubbing that they had at the hands of SRH, that has not only sent their momentum for a tailspin, but also their net run rate. Good thing is they still have their own fate in their own hands. If they win their next 2 games, then they get to 16 points and are in with a chance, assuming the likes of SRH and CSK end up losing some games as well. Now, they need SRH to lose 1 game, because again, they'll be equal. If SRH lose both, nothing like it. And if CSK lose, then also they'll be through with 16 points, because they're the only other team that can get to 16. So as I said, for LSG, it's not even a case of hope that, the other team loses 1 game or whatever, because their net run rate is so poor. They need to thrash both DC and MI and hope that the other 2 teams who can get to 16 end up losing both games. So not a very good situation for them. As far as the playoff race is concerned, as I said, SRH and CSK right now 2 seem to be the favorites, but we've seen funnier things happen in the IPL. So I'm going to end this video with a question. If you had to pick one of the teams beside an SRH or CSK to somehow leapfrog them and make it through, who do you think it would be? You can let us know that in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon, follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Don't forget to download the SportsTak app, and if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos we've done as well. For now, from my side though, it's goodbye.